Market conditions remaining bearish in this bull market. We're seeing the rank of the bull market sitting at 21.68. That 21.68 represents this line right here. You can see it's been in this upper range, that 22 range, now starting to flatten and kind of roll over just a little bit. That represents the last 1 year time frame of this chart down here. So it's simply just looking at this amount of time. You can just barely see now this crossover point starting to about a year ago where that trend really started to gain momentum, and now we're at the upper end of that range right here, but we're extreme to the downside now. We've seen momentum shift aggressively now all the way to the downside, negative 235, which is really quite oversold for this indicator. And one of the things to also watch for that I wanted to point out on this is when we get these first moves lower, similar to this one right here, and we get this spike in momentum, this red line, orange line down first, and then we get green, which is breadth, and then we get sentiment. That first line lower typically is momentum, and you can see oftentimes that once it gets oversold, it'll rally back up again, and then we get a new low. So let's watch closely right here to see as we are working on some support levels. We're seeing momentum, we're seeing breadth, which is kind of stabilizing right here, and sentiment, which is still also in that upper range, that upper complacency range. We are seeing buy-sell ratio curl over just a little bit right here now. So we did see some additional strength in buy-sell ratio on that day on Friday, which is what we want to see. And we're seeing sentiment all the way down to these lower extreme, very oversold conditions in the market right here on sentiment indicator, as well as that buy-sell ratio being extreme and starting to curl back a little bit. This upper end of this range it doesn't go much higher. Okay, it's a fixed number here and it's a fixed number here on this side, and so it's reached that level now, that extreme level to the downside on selling. We're seeing S&P 500 sitting right at some support areas here, and let's take a look at that right at this 497, 500-ish range, and could dip down to that 489 range here as well, and that's certainly a possibility. But getting in an area where we could see a bounce right here across the board, really on all markets. We'll see if there's any type of catalyst. Some of the news items are continually getting more and more bearish. So any support and rally here may be a good opportunity to lighten up the overall allocation position here just a little bit as well. Let's take a look at sectors. We're seeing sectors. We saw a couple of small little green uptrends here, a few fledgling utilities, consumer goods, and financials starting to potentially find some support right here. We still have 3 holds. The rest are sells and downtrends, but we're starting to see 2 or 3 of these light up here in green. That means that there is some demand, some buying starting to show back up at these levels, at least in those sectors. Gold's continuing to move higher in that upper momentum range, needing a little bit of a pullback here as well. Certainly could get that. Same with silver, and oil is the other commodity that we've been focusing on. Oil is sitting right at the support range. We talked about it on Friday, where it's at this area right when we get these pullbacks in the momentum zone. They'll pull back to that 236 support area, and typically will look like this. It's either not all red or not all green, but it's kind of stuck right here in the middle, waiting for some confirmation. We'll see if oil gives any upside or downside confirmation at all today. If we take a look at some of the muscle stocks groups, we've got Airlines, which is SkyWest in that upper range, finding some support around that $64 range, double bottom. Possible continuation on that trend on SkyWest. And then Sprout Farms, symbol SFM, a nice solid consolidation base here, possible breakout on Sprouts Farmers Market SFM. That will do it for today's update. Have a fantastic day today.